The tragic crash involving an American Airlines plane and a Black Hawk helicopter has led to the identification of a dozen more victims, bringing the total to 55 out of 67. This incident is now recognized as the deadliest aviation disaster in the U.S. since 2001. Washington, D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly shared this update on Sunday evening, noting that the recovery teams are still searching the Potomac River for the remaining victims. The flight, which was American Airlines Flight 5342, went down on Wednesday night, and among those on board were entire families, young ice skaters, a college student, and all 4 crew members. Donnelly expressed hope that the remaining 12 victims would eventually be found, although the exact locations of their bodies remain unknown. He emphasized the commitment of the recovery teams, stating, "If we knew where they were, we would already have taken them out. The operation is ongoing, and the teams are determined to recover all the remains." Colonel Francis B. Para from the Army Corps of Engineers echoed this sentiment, saying that reuniting families with their lost loved ones is what drives the recovery efforts. On Monday, crews are set to begin a lifting operation to remove the wreckage from the river. The debris will then be transported to a hangar for further investigation. Over 300 responders are involved in the recovery efforts, and 2 Navy salvage barges have been deployed to assist in lifting the heavy wreckage. However, the operation has faced challenges, including a diver from the Metropolitan Police Department being hospitalized for hypothermia, although he has since been released and is recovering. Rescue divers have described the scene as harrowing, with one firefighter stating that the water is surprisingly clear, allowing them to see distressing sights during their dives. Family members of the victims have gathered at the crash site, anxiously waiting for news about their loved ones. Many arrived in buses with police escorts, and emotions ran high as they expressed their grief and anger. National Transportation Safety Board member Todd Inman noted that families are desperate for answers, and the authorities are committed to providing them. The collision occurred just before 9 p.m. on Wednesday when the American Eagle flight was preparing to land at Ronald Reagan National Airport. Reports indicate that the Black Hawk helicopter may have strayed significantly from its designated flight path, flying above 300 feet instead of the approved altitude of below 200 feet. This deviation could have contributed to the crash, which resulted in the loss of all lives on board the American Airlines flight. Air traffic control audio from the incident has raised questions about the clarity of instructions given to the helicopter pilot. An experienced air traffic controller pointed out that the communication was ambiguous, and there were concerns about the staffing levels at the control tower during the time of the crash. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has acknowledged that staffing shortages have been a long-standing issue, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has called for a review of the situation. As federal investigators work tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to the crash, they are expected to release a preliminary report within 30 days. The full investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board typically takes at least a year, but the urgency of the situation has prompted officials to seek answers as quickly as possible. The crash has prompted the FAA to impose stricter regulations on helicopter traffic around Reagan National Airport, especially after President Trump highlighted the helicopter's altitude during the incident. This devastating crash is a stark reminder of the complexities and challenges of air travel, particularly in busy airspace. While flying is generally safe, the crowded skies around major airports can pose risks, even for experienced pilots. The community continues to mourn the loss of those who perished in this tragic event, and the recovery efforts remain a priority as families seek closure.